I, of course, along with probably every other female on the planet, I had a crush on, Michael J. Fox, who didn't.
Hey guys, this is Matt from Hill Valley Autographs, and I am so stoked to bring to you an interview with the ever amazing Sachi Parker. Sachi is famous for many roles in Star Trek and some other films, some shows on Broadway and in theater, but she's also famous for her tell-all memoir called Lucky Me, My Life with and Without My Mom, Shirley MacLaine. So she is Hollywood royalty, and she bears all about her upbringing in that book. You should absolutely check it out. She's done tons of interviews there. But today I really wanted to focus in on her work on the franchise that we all love so much. So I'm excited to share that with you. And I'm excited to tell you that she is doing a private signing for our group. As this airs, there should be a little bit of time left to get your orders in. So please make sure to do so ASAP. And with that, here is Sachi. Well, Sachi, thank you so much for your time. I'm so excited to be here with you and talk about your time on Back to the Future and some of the other things that you've worked on and worked in. Thank you for making time for us.
Of course, I'm excited. I have to thank you too.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Truly, the honor is all ours. And you played Bystander #1 in
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
Who is that guy?
It's George McFly.
There's no name to this character, but you do have a speaking line, so that's a big deal, and it's a bigger moment in the film.
That's George McFly? Excuse me.
Okay, good. Thank you. There are no small parts.
No, not at all, not at all. But I was curious because I've watched other interviews with you, and you've mentioned how you're able to really put yourself in the moment and even sense and smell the different senses and all these different pieces of it. So I was curious, when you prepare for a role like Bystander #1, where there's not a name even, do you create a backstory in your mind, or how does that work for you?
Honestly, for that particular one, it was just simply being on the set. It's such a huge budget movie. Just the fur that they put around my shoulders was
Hmm.
enough. I was at a special occasion, and then, I, of course, along with probably every other female on the planet, I had a crush on, Michael J. Fox, who didn't,
Listen,
so
I have a crush on Michael J. Fox,
okay,
so we're
so there,
all, yeah.
okay, there you go. So, that was kind of enough for me. And the whole, um, the production was just huge. I
Mm,
mean, they kind of don't do that, make them like that anymore. It was,
yeah,
um, so I didn't have to do much, but I just being there, you get into it, and
yeah.
the time frame of the, scene and all. The fur did it for me. I remember that.
The
Because,
fur is pretty epic.
yeah, the fur is, because that's what they used to wear back in the day, right? My
Hmm.
mom, all the ladies, they would wear furs, the young ladies, and so not so much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Anyway.
it's a big scene. Did you your scenes were they filmed at the high school? Is that where you were?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Um,
I can't
and
remember which one it was. I have no idea. Oh, golly.
I think it's Whittier or
Where
Whittier
is that? Is that there's an L?
in LA.
I know it's in LA, but I don't know what part of LA. I can't remember.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah, I'm not
huge.
the super California guy.
Yeah, I I was in LA for so long, but I don't remember where in LA it was. It was a whole little lifetime ago.
When
But I do
when you
remember that. Yeah.
did you only work with Michael J. Fox, or did you film any of the scenes with Eric Stoltz before they recast him?
No, just Michael J. Fox. Just yeah.
So he was locked in at that point.
He was, yeah. What a nice guy too.
Hmm.
Really, really wonderful. And you know what's really cool? Matt, is that years later, we're going back, maybe I'm giving myself away, but who cares? I would say 17 years ago, maybe longer. My kids were real little, and we were in Atlantis, that
In the
park
Bahamas?
in the Bahamas.
Hmm.
Yeah, all the dolphins are and all like that. You stay at this. It's called Atlantis.
Yeah.
You know the place I mean. Huge place to stay, and they have all kinds
Yeah.
of, they have 5 swimming pools, whatever, and parks and, slides and this and that and the other thing. So there I was with my kids ready to get on a slide. We had climbed the stairs, up to the top, and there was Michael J. Fox and
Oh,
Tracy.
wow.
And I had such a small role, bystander number one, or what. I, there's no way he would have, remembered. I was terribly embarrassed, and suddenly the crush came right back. Even though I'm married and I've got kids, what are you gonna do? So I said hi. I'm Sachi, Parker. I worked with you on Back to the Future. I'm sure you don't remember me. And he goes, yes, I do remember you. It's so wonderful to see you again. It was wonderful. He was so sweet. And I
Hmm.
don't know if he did or not, remember me. But the point is that he was so darling in his response. I just
Yeah.
wanted to say that. I mean, you don't get stars who are that friendly and you know,
Yeah.
he probably didn't remember me. I'm sure he didn't. But the fact that he said he did, and it was just darling. It really was.
Yeah.
And he's a lovely person.
That seems to be a common denominator from everyone that we've talked to so far is how
You really?
great he is.
Yeah.
And to your point, that's not true everywhere. For example, I've done a lot of interviews with cast and crew from Ghostbusters, and anytime the subject of Bill Murray comes up,
Ah.
not always so great. Interesting to say the least. But
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
mhm.
Great, funny guy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, not Michael J. Fox.
yeah. No, Michael J. Fox, and I just love
Oh,
to what how he is with all that he's battled and just the positive attitude that he has and the warrior that he is.
it's
I just
amazing.
admire him for so much.
Me too. I really do. And Tracy too, I mean,
Hmm. Yeah.
wow. That therein lies a huge lesson for all of us, right? I mean, when you can go through, I can't even fathom what he goes through every day. I honestly can't. I mean, I'm getting older and, little pains here and there, of course, but I mean, just to be that positive and to stay so uplifting for
Hmm.
everybody. What a lesson we could all
Absolutely.
learn from that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I think I heard you right in another interview. You talked about when you got to Hollywood from Japan, you started taking acting lessons,
Yes.
and your mom kind of got you there.
Yeah.
And Shirley MacLaine, for those who don't know, um, and did you take classes with Crispin Glover?
Yes.
So
Oh
before you
my
worked on Back
God.
to the Future,
Yeah, yeah.
you were taking classes with him.
I was taking classes with, oh gosh, it was at the Loft Studio on La Brea Avenue, and Peggy Fury. I don't know if
Hmm.
you've heard of her. She was just one of the greats, really. And her husband Bill Traylor were teaching, and I took their class. And I mean, Angelica Houston, Michelle Pfeiffer, Sean Penn, Charlie Sheen. I mean, just
Just a few
all these
little
guys.
names.
We were all in this class together because I wasn't raised here and I had just arrived. I had auditioned for Peggy, of course, obviously, but I honestly didn't understand the nature of Hollywood. I
Hmm.
just wasn't here and I
Hmm.
didn't understand. I didn't know who these people were. They were just wonderful people that I was studying with. And that was a wonderful gift in a way, and then it was later, years later, that I was starstruck and I became, oh, I was studying with, this and this and this. Um, I learned a lot
Mm,
from all of them, but Peggy and Bill, what a wonderful way to start out.
yeah.
Just an incredible place to learn. And I use what they taught me all the time
Mm,
now. Yeah.
that's awesome.
I miss Peggy. I actually became her chauffeur for a while.
Mm,
And I got to know her really well and her family and Stephanie and Susan, their two daughters who have done
yeah.
so well um, as people, but in the business as well, obviously.
So
So
the relationship was so much more than just a teacher. She, in some ways, seems like she became family for you.
she did become family for me. Wonderful lady.
Mm,
It broke my heart when she and Bill passed.
mm.
It really did.
Oh,
Crispin Glover was amazing. I have a story to tell you about him.
I would love to hear it. I've not had the chance to meet him yet, but
Oh,
I,
really?
I, I get the sense he's very eccentric
Very,
and very dedicated to his craft.
very.
And I know that he's a creative on a whole nother level, but I would just love to know what he's like in person.
I didn't get to know him in person all that well, to be honest. He is a bit different. And but that aside, as an actor, he did a scene, and I can't remember what it was now, with his entire back to the audience, meaning the student body. And you hear all the time, you have to face the audience, and be seen. Well, no, he wasn't interested in that. He just turned around back to the audience the entire time, did this monologue, and it was one of the most emotional things I think I've ever witnessed.
Mm,
We all were blown away. It was such a lesson in his how, when you're full as an actor and you're really
mhm,
feeling it, you don't need to be seen. You feel, well, be seen, meaning we saw his back, but
mhm.
his emotions were coming through his back at us, and it
Yeah.
was unbelievable. It was such a lesson, and Peggy talked about it for years after that,
Hmm.
as an example of what true acting really is.
Right. Yeah.
It's
That's awesome.
unbelievable. I didn't, I wished I had gotten to know him, but he wasn't too approachable either.
Hmm.
He was very unto himself, and he stayed in his lane. And I was also a beginner and shy
Sure.
and very Japanese, and but that was my story anyway. He,
Yeah. No, that's good.
yeah, he gave us all quite the lesson. It was amazing.
No,
Yeah.
that is. It really is. When you going back to filming your scene for Back to the Future,
Mhm.
do you remember, did you shoot more than just that? Were there other scenes that were cut out? Were you part of the dance scene at all originally, like part of the bigger dance?
Yeah,
Or were
I
you,
remember that really well. Yeah, we were inside. It was like um, in the school medical place.
okay.
Um, and the dance scene, but it was so crowded. I mean, I was an extra pretty much. I mean, it wasn't, and much more
Yeah.
than that. Um, Fun, just fun. I took a real interest actually in not just the acting, but behind the scenes stuff, the camera and
Hmm.
the DP work and I watched a lot because I was an extra. I could. I
Yeah.
didn't have to worry about lines and, getting into character and all like that too much. But I watched, the lighting guys, the gaffers, I loved all of it. And so I watched for hours and I loved it. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, there were some of the best were working on that film too. So you got to watch from some great people.
There you go. I was very lucky. I mean, it was like that, wasn't it? I mean, most of the time you have to go to school to learn that stuff. Pay big bucks to, go to school. I was on set and I would go stand inconspicuously but watch. I tried to
Yeah.
not to miss a thing. So
Yeah,
that's what I was
absolutely.
doing as pretty much an extra on that film.
Yeah.
There were a couple of others, like Peggy Sue Got Married, where I was pretty much an extra as well. I mean, I think I had one line or two lines or something, but the other time that I was there, just I watched and I learned and I never did anything with it. I wish I had, but life is long.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look back, are you
Mhm.
surprised at all that Back to the Future is as popular today as it is?
No, I'm not. That's a great question. It really is, isn't it? I mean, it's
It's huge.
crazy. I mean, honestly, to be really honest with you, I mean, one line and I was an extra and you know, it was a great experience. But honestly, what, 30, how many years later are we talking here? I mean, I'm 68
Yeah,
and I was
this
what,
year's a big
25 or
anniversary
something.
year. It's
I mean,
40.
40. Okay, so there you go. I mean,
Hmm.
40 years later, friends of mine now. Oh, we didn't know you were in Back to the Future. Wow, what was that like? Oh my God, tell us more, tell us more. And I'm like, well, you know, I, it was fun. And, I'm sort of, tell them what I just told you.
Yeah.
But the fact that people are quite so impressed when I really only had one line and I was an extra, but they're just like, tell us, tell us, tell us. What was it like? What was Michael J. Fox like? What was it? It's an incredible, what's the word? It says a lot about
Yeah.
film. And I'm not sure why necessarily. I mean, you know, I don't know if you've watched the Outlander, have you?
Hmm. Yeah.
It has that science fiction thing going on and the
Yeah.
storyline and the love story and people love
Yeah.
that aspect of time travel and it seems like it's a huge deal. It is interesting, to find out what it was like a long time ago or even 30
Yeah.
years ago, like that was in Back to the Future. I mean, I love even photographs when you look at old photographs of what New York City, Manhattan used to look like. It is
Yeah.
fascinating, and you want to know how people used to live in
Yeah.
that time and what's different from what's like now. And it is interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know that, but it's more than that. I don't know quite why Back to the Future it lasts. I think it's just a
Yeah.
classic. And
I
it'll
think
always stay that way.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's a mix of the right people in the right roles.
Hmm.
I think you've got a team that gave it extraordinary amounts of care. And I think too, my personal opinion, it is the closest to a perfect movie that you're going to
Mm,
get. I just think
I
and it
agree.
holds up so well today.
It
It's
really
just
does.
there's
It
something magical about it.
it's magical. That's the word. It's magical. Yeah.
Yeah. Were there any conversations about you coming back for the second film? Because we know that
No, no.
Bystander 1 and 2 got switched out with
I don't know. Bystander 1 and 2 didn't quite make it to the I don't know. Yeah. Sorry.
uh
No.
I you and Crispin just decided not to come back
I
for the
guess
second film.
I had
That's the other
Yeah.
thing you guys have in common.
Crispin, what a character. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, no.
So with Back to the Future, have you done have you done any fan appearances or any of the conference conventions for Back to the Future? I know Star Trek is another big franchise that you're part of,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I yeah, again, interesting kind of time travel stuff going on
yeah,
there. I don't know. I loved working on Star Trek. Wow. Um, just loved it. Yeah.
yeah. No, it looked like you were having a good time.
Yeah.
What did you enjoy about Star Trek on your time working on that?
The makeup, when you get to the set and the makeup room and the whole, we were all so transformed.
Hmm. A little bit more than just fur this time.
Yeah, it was real, yeah, like real alien stuff. I played
Yeah,
Dr. Hava, I think that was her name.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I had a crush on one of the writers actually. And I'm not gonna say who. But he was one of the bigger writers on Star Trek and young and oh boy. And I'll never forget being in the makeup chair after the shoot one day because I was on that quite, I don't know, a fair bit. It wasn't an extra, it was a real role.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was so embarrassed. He was watching in the makeup room as my makeup was getting taken off. And I thought, oh no, 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 no. I don't want him to see what I really look like. I don't want this mask to get taken off. I'm not gonna be as pretty as an alien. Oh my God. That's what I remember the most. Anyway.
That's funny.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah.
Well, and you've also worked on other various films like Peggy Sue Got Married, which you mentioned. Speaking of Bill Murray, you worked on Scrooged.
Yes.
Um, how did these experiences differ from each other, and were there any takeaways from each of those?
Gosh. Well, Scrooged was interesting. I played Buddy Hackett's fiance. Buddy Hackett tried to kiss me, and I'll say no more. That was another real big budget movie.
Hmm.
And watching again Bill Murray. I mean, he his comedy, the timing, and I learned a lot about
Hmm.
comedy watching him. And again, I was so interested in this setup of a take. So, I would watch how the cameramen, the lighting guys, the gaffer, I loved watching all of that. And it was such a big budget film as Peggy Sue Got Married. I loved watching Francis Ford Coppola get so perfectionistic with his shots. He was one who would do, I don't know how many takes until it was absolutely perfect. I learned a lot.
Yeah,
And I just kept learning. They were all very, very small roles. But again, it wasn't about that so much as it was about me learning other things on set
hmm,
and watching
yeah,
Bill Murray and, these greats. I was a beginner, and talk about learning on the job, I just, instead of talking and, kind of hanging out at the coffee and the donut area, which I could have done, and I wasn't too social. I was very enthusiastic about learning. So it was
yeah.
an opportunity for me to do that.
So then talk to me about,
Yeah.
because not only on screen, but you've worked on stage. You've done a one-woman show, Lucky Me. How,
Mhm.
how does that? What is that transition like? What are your thoughts on performing on stage compared to working on film? Is there a preference? I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, they're so completely different, aren't they? I love film. I love the the cocoon-like feeling of the lights and the people,
Hmm.
all the people surrounding. It feels like a big family and I'm being watched and I feel like I'm loved and the lights are warm and you feel like you're in a little cocoon and it's all loving and everybody cares and the director, wants it a certain way. And so, you're just so involved in making sure you get it right for the director and
Hmm.
pleasing him or her. And I love that. I love the intimate nature of film,
Hmm.
and I feel so special. And yeah, the warmth of the lights, like I'm real loved.
Hmm.
So, and I love the intimate, this the the tiniest little um you can everything gets picked up by the camera,
Hmm.
everything, which I love. I really do get the camera, I get you don't have to do much and it really comes through if you're feeling it.
Hmm.
So there's that. I love that. And stage is just I can't say that I like the big, huge stage. I like small theater,
Okay.
probably because of the same reason.
Hmm.
You know, I like to be seen. What a terrible thing to say. Sounds so
Yeah.
narcissistic, right? But it I don't know, where you have to wear a mic and like a Broadway kind of a thing where it's
Hmm.
huge and it's more kind of eye candy
Yeah.
than a personal, intimate performance. I mean, it can be. I do love the smaller theater though, for that reason also.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it sounds like intimacy, the smallness. You mentioned the intimacy of the set and on film, but then the intimacy of the smaller theater. But I would
Yeah.
imagine, again, I'm not an actor, but I do some public speaking for work. Um, there's nothing like being in front of a live audience.
It's incredible.
Oh
It's
yeah.
immediate and you know exactly where you are, right? As a speaker, right?
Hmm.
Exactly. I'm glad you reminded me of that. Exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
It it's but you know what's funny though? You can actually feel, even though there are no sounds, even when you're on a set, you can't make a sound. You're not allowed to. But I mean, I'm talking about the people surround, the lighting people, the director, but you can feel them. You
Mm.
know how you're doing there as well. You can feel it. You just can. We're animals, we can feel it. So you
Yeah.
kind of know how you're doing as well, because they're your audience, but live audience, yeah, they really make themselves known and it's wonderful. I love that. It gives you so much energy and
Hmm. Yeah. You can feed
especially
off
for
that. So
I love that. Yeah,
yeah.
especially for comedy. You need
Mm.
it, you need that feedback to know where you are if it's working and
Oh yeah. There's nothing better than a joke that gets a loud pop. It gets a
it's
good laugh.
insane. It feels so
Yeah.
good. It's just like you become a drug addict. I mean, you really do. I feel like, and you get on such a high and you can't, after a show that's gone well, you can't come down for at least 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. It really is. Yeah.
I've only got one last question for you.
Oh, okay.
Um, I would just love, you had mentioned earlier that you're working on a show right now. Are
Mhm.
there any recent or upcoming projects that you've been working on that you would like to share and talk about? We would love
Oh
to hear
gosh,
about it. And
yes. Yes, the play I'm doing right now is a brand new David Rabe play. You know David Rabe, right?
I
He
don't.
wrote, oh gosh, Hurly Burly, Casualties of War,
Oh, okay.
The Firm a long time ago. Um, he's done this new play. It's an amazing, very personal play about his family,
Mm,
and I play his mom, and it's extremely dysfunctional and
mm.
a wonderful character to play. I'm having a ball with it. I really am. And I
That's
just met him
awesome.
for the first time on Saturday night,
Oh,
just
wow.
before yesterday. He
How's
came to
that?
see it. I was so happy to see him, and I did not know that he was in the audience. I didn't know until after. And I think I was embarrassing him. I at 68, whatever. I just beelined it. I screamed. I said, "Ah!" And I ran up to him and just threw my arms around him and thank you for coming. Oh my God, thank you for letting me play your mom. And such a nice guy. It's just a wonderful, wonderful man. I feel very honored to be able to play this role.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. How long does the show run for?
Next week is closing.
Okay.
That's that, but who knows? You know, where it'll go from there.
Yeah.
Anything else that will come my way, I'm always doing something. I just, it's all theater now, Matt.
Yeah.
I think, um, mainly because I don't know, I love theater now. I just love the live audience, and New York City is right there. It's easy.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's
That's
what I'm
awesome.
doing. I just love
Well,
it. I will always do it. It makes me so happy. It
yeah.
also keeps, let me tell you something. I mean, I don't think I'll ever get dementia. It's, no, really, it's amazing. When I haven't worked in a while, I can feel, but oh, nope, I got to do a play. I got to do a play. I got to learn lines and
Mm,
character and it really is an amazing medicine for the brain.
I bet.
It's
I can't
incredible.
imagine. I can't imagine how you all memorize all those lines.
I don't know. It goes in very easily. And it's a combination of, I go to the actor studio a lot in the city, and there's Ellen Burstyn, who we all know, who's brilliant. She talks about how acting is the perfect exercise to keep your brain sharp until
Mm,
way late in life,
hmm.
And it's a combination of you're doing so many different things at one time, at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's something about the dendrites or whatever in the brain, Anyway, I feel grateful for that because yeah, I see some friends of mine who at my age are starting to suffer from
Mm.
forgetfulness and so anyway, that aside, I have to keep acting. I don't have a choice.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something important about the art of playing. Like I
Yeah.
think when we're young, we're kids, we develop so much through playing with different things. Like my son, my oldest son,
Yeah.
brilliant, but he builds Lego all the time, and there's no question he's going to be an engineer. And I obviously, as we get older, the way we play is different. But I think there's something like you're saying. I'm just thinking about acting or playing different characters.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that we're
There
connecting with
is.
different things, learning different things, and just staying fresh.
It's staying fresh. That's so, what a great analogy. It's like being a child again. We all
Hmm.
as children did that naturally. We would play different characters. I mean, right? You've got
Hmm.
kids, they would, you'd be in your room on your, well, I did, you're in your room for hours and, I would start creating different scenarios and
Yeah.
playing different characters and talking to them. It's only me, but
Yeah.
yeah, we all did that, I think. It's a natural thing maybe for us humans to do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, there's something there. There's something
yeah.
there. Maybe I'll write a book and you can help me.
Okay. Sounds good, Matt. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.